Chapter 1. Chapter 1. The Unlikely Reunion. The salty breeze danced through the open windows of the beach house, carrying with it the echoes of laughter and the distant crash of waves against the shore. Just a few hours earlier, Bradley had pulled into the driveway, heart racing with anticipation. He could still feel the warmth of the sun on his skin as he stepped out of his car, the familiar scent of sunscreen and ocean air wrapping around him like a long-lost embrace. The last time they had all been together was years ago, a lifetime filled with unspoken words and unresolved tensions. As he entered the house, the nostalgia hit him like a wave. The walls were adorned with seashells and faded photographs of their childhood adventures, each frame a portal to a simpler time. The vintage record player in the corner crackled to life, filling the air with the soft strains of a familiar tune. It was a song they had danced to at summer bonfires, the kind of music that made memories shimmer like sunlight on water. Bradley. Mary-Kate's voice rang out, bright and teasing, pulling him from his reverie. She stood in the kitchen, her hair cascading in soft waves, a playful smile on her lips. "You're late. We thought you got lost on your way to the beach." "Or maybe he was just scared to face us," Ashley chimed in, her tone light but edged with something sharper. She leaned against the counter, arms crossed, her eyes glinting with mischief. The tension between the two women was palpable, a current that had always existed beneath the surface of their friendship. "Lost? Me? Never," Bradley replied, forcing a grin as he stepped further into the house. "I just wanted to make a grand entrance." "More like a grand excuse," Liv quipped, emerging from the living room with a bowl of popcorn in her hands. Her laughter was infectious, a reminder of the carefree days they had shared. "But we're glad you're here. It wouldn't be the same without you." Caitlin, who had been quietly observing from the side, finally spoke up. "I can't believe we're all together again. It feels like a dream." Her voice was soft, almost wistful, as she glanced around the room, taking in the familiar faces that had shaped her childhood. "More like a nightmare," Ashley muttered under her breath, but the others were too busy reminiscing to notice. Bradley caught Mary-Kate's eye, and for a moment, the air between them crackled with unspoken words. They had shared a bond that had once felt unbreakable, but time and distance had frayed those ties. He could sense the weight of their history, the unresolved feelings that lingered like shadows in the corners of the room. "Let's make some new memories," he suggested, trying to lighten the mood. "How about a game of beach volleyball? I'm sure I can still wipe the floor with you all." "Only if you're ready to lose," Ashley shot back, her competitive spirit flaring to life. "Bring it on," he replied, a playful challenge in his voice. As they gathered their things and headed out to the beach, the sun hung low in the sky, casting a golden hue over the sand. The sound of waves crashing against the shore was a soothing backdrop, but beneath the surface, tension simmered. Mary-Kate and Ashley fell into step beside each other, their rivalry as palpable as the ocean breeze. "You know, I've been practicing," Mary-Kate said, her tone light but her eyes narrowed slightly. "I hope you've been keeping up." "Oh, please," Ashley scoffed, flipping her hair over her shoulder. "I've always been better than you. Just admit it." Bradley exchanged a glance with Liv, who rolled her eyes in response. "Here we go again," she whispered, a hint of amusement in her voice. As they reached the beach, the golden sand felt warm beneath their feet. They set up a makeshift court, laughter mingling with the sound of the ocean. The game began with a flurry of energy, each player eager to prove their worth. Bradley found himself caught in the middle of the friendly chaos, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something deeper was at play. With each serve and spike, the competitive tension between Mary-Kate and Ashley escalated. Their playful banter quickly turned into sharp jabs, each word laced with a history that neither was willing to fully confront. Bradley watched as Mary-Kate's face flushed with determination, while Ashley's smile turned brittle, her eyes flashing with a mix of anger and hurt. "Nice shot, Mary-Kate," Ashley called out, but the sweetness in her voice was overshadowed by the bite of her words. "Too bad you'll never be as good as me. Maybe if you spent less time bragging and more time practicing, you wouldn't be so far behind," Mary-Kate shot back, her competitive spirit igniting. Bradley felt the tension rise, a thick fog settling over the game. He could sense the unspoken words hanging in the air, the secrets that had been buried beneath years of rivalry. "Hey, how about we take a break?" he suggested, trying to defuse the situation. "Let's grab some drinks and cool off." The group reluctantly agreed, and they made their way back to the beach house, the atmosphere heavy with unaddressed emotions. As they settled onto the porch, the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. The beauty of the moment felt stark against the tension that lingered. "Remember that time we built a sandcastle competition?" Liv asked, attempting to steer the conversation toward lighter memories. "I think we spent hours on that thing, only for the tide to come in and wash it away." "Yeah, and Ashley cried like a baby," Mary-Kate teased, a smirk playing on her lips. "I did not," Ashley protested, but the corners of her mouth twitched, betraying her amusement. "Okay, maybe just a little," Liv added, laughter bubbling up among them. As the stories flowed, Bradley felt a sense of warmth enveloping him, a reminder of the bonds they had once shared. But beneath the laughter, he could still feel the tension between Mary-Kate and Ashley, a storm brewing just beneath the surface. "Can we talk about something serious for a moment?" Caitlin's voice cut through the laughter, her expression suddenly somber. The group fell silent, the weight of her words hanging in the air. "What's on your mind?" Bradley asked, sensing the shift in the atmosphere. "I know we're all here to have fun, but I can't help but feel like there are things we need to address," Caitlin said, her gaze shifting between Mary-Kate and Ashley. "We've all changed, and I think it is time we talk about it." "Talk about what?" Ashley snapped, her defensiveness rising. "We're fine. Everything's fine." "Is it?" Caitlin pressed, her voice steady. "Because it doesn't feel that way." Chapter 2. The Great Bake-Off. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting a warm golden hue over the quaint coastal town. Waves lapped gently against the shore, a soothing backdrop to the laughter and chatter that filled the air. In the previous chapter, 5 childhood friends, Bradley, Mary-Kate, Liv, Ashley, Paige, and Caitlin, had reunited for a weekend getaway at a charming beach house, a place steeped in nostalgia. The vintage record player spun soft melodies, but beneath the surface, old rivalries and secrets simmered, particularly between Mary-Kate and Ashley, whose competitive spirits threatened to ignite at any moment. To break the ice and perhaps channel their competitive energy into something more constructive, the friends decided to host a bake-off. Each would bring their own unique recipe to the table, a culinary challenge that promised both laughter and chaos. As the sun set, casting long shadows across the kitchen, the stage was set for a showdown that would test their skills and their friendships. Liv stood at the counter, her brow furrowed in concentration as she meticulously measured out ingredients. The kitchen was a flurry of activity, with flour dusting the countertops and the sweet scent of vanilla wafting through the air. "Okay, everyone, I'm making a kale-infused cake," she announced, her voice a mix of excitement and trepidation. "It's healthy, but trust me, it is delicious." "Healthy? In a bake-off?" Ashley scoffed, her hands on her hips. "You do realize we're supposed to be indulging, right? This is a competition, not a diet plan." Liv shot her a playful glare. "Just wait until you taste it. You might change your mind." Caitlin, the perfectionist of the group, was already deep into her own project. She had chosen a classic chocolate soufflé, a dish that required precision and finesse. If you're going to make a kale cake, Liv, at least make sure it doesn't taste like grass, she quipped, her eyes focused on the mixing bowl as she whisked egg whites into soft peaks. Don't worry, Caitlin. I'll make sure to add enough sugar to mask the flavor, Liv replied, a smirk tugging at her lips. Meanwhile, Paige rummaged through the pantry, her excitement palpable. I'm going to make my grandmother's famous lemon bars. They're a family recipe, and I promise they'll be the best thing you've ever tasted. She beamed, her enthusiasm infectious. Good luck with that, Mary-Kate chimed in, her tone dripping with sarcasm. I hope your grandmother's recipe is better than your last attempt at baking. Remember the burnt cookies? Paige rolled her eyes, but a smile crept onto her face. That was one time. And besides, I've improved since then. Bradley, who had been quietly observing the banter, finally spoke up. I think we should all just agree that my chocolate chip cookies are the best. I mean, who doesn't love a classic? He winked, his charm evident as he began to gather his ingredients. Classic. More like boring, Ashley teased, crossing her arms. You need to step it up, Bradley. This is a bake-off, not a bake, meh. As the friends continued to bicker and laugh, the kitchen transformed into a chaotic battleground. Flour flew through the air like confetti, and the sounds of clanging pots and pans filled the space. Liv's kale cake was a vibrant green, but as she mixed the batter, she couldn't shake the feeling that her health-conscious choice might not win over the crowd. Liv, are you sure about this? Caitlin asked, glancing skeptically at the green mixture. I mean, I admire your commitment to health, but trust me, Caitlin, it's going to be amazing, Liv insisted, her determination shining through. And if it flops, I'll take full responsibility. As the clock ticked down, the tension in the kitchen began to rise. Mary-Kate and Ashley exchanged glances, their competitive spirits igniting once more. Let's make this interesting, Mary-Kate suggested, a mischievous glint in her eye. How about we add a twist? The winner gets to choose the next activity for the weekend. Ashley raised an eyebrow, intrigued. And what if I win? I have some ideas that might involve a little more adventure. Adventure. Like what? Skydiving. Caitlin laughed, but there was a hint of apprehension in her voice. Maybe something a little less extreme, Ashley replied, her smile widening. But I promise it'll be fun. Fine, but I'm winning this bake-off, Mary-Kate declared, her competitive nature flaring. And I'm not afraid to sabotage your soufflé if it comes down to it. Sabotage. Is that how we're playing this? Caitlin shot back, her eyes narrowing. Bring it on. The atmosphere crackled with energy as the friends continued to bake, each determined to outdo the others. As the oven timers ticked down, the kitchen filled with the sweet aroma of baking treats, mingling with the salty sea air wafting in from the open windows. Just as the chaos reached its peak, a sudden knock echoed through the house, causing everyone to pause mid-action. Who could that be? Paige wondered aloud, wiping her hands on her apron. I hope it is not the health inspector, Bradley joked, but his eyes darted toward the door, curiosity piqued. Liv opened the door, revealing a tall figure with a notepad in hand and a wide grin on his face. Hello. I'm Marco, the local food critic. I heard there was a bake-off happening here, and I couldn't resist stopping by to see what all the fuss was about. The friends exchanged shocked glances, their competitive spirits momentarily forgotten. A food critic, Ashley whispered, her eyes wide. This just got serious. Welcome, Marco, Liv exclaimed, her voice a mix of excitement and nerves. We're just about to finish up. Would you like to judge our creations? Absolutely. I'd love to taste what you've all made, Marco replied, his enthusiasm infectious. But I must warn you, I'm a tough critic. As the friends scrambled to put the finishing touches on their dishes, the atmosphere shifted. The stakes were higher now, and the pressure mounted. Caitlin's souffle puffed up beautifully in the oven, while Liv's kale cake sat innocently on the counter, its vibrant color both inviting and intimidating. Okay, everyone, let's present our dishes, Bradley announced, trying to rally the group. May the best baker win. One by one, they presented their creations, each dish accompanied by a story or a memory that added a personal touch. Paige's lemon bars sparkled with a dusting of powdered sugar, and she beamed with pride as Marco took his first bite. These are delightful. The perfect balance of tart and sweet, he praised. Chapter 3. The Beach Bonanza. The salty breeze whipped through the open windows of the beach house, carrying with it the laughter and chatter of 5 friends who had once been inseparable. In the previous chapter, Bradley, Mary-Kate, Liv, Ashley, Paige, and Caitlin had gathered for a weekend of nostalgia and rekindled friendships, but the air was thick with unspoken tensions. The bake-off had been a chaotic affair, revealing not just culinary skills but also the simmering rivalries and secrets that lingered beneath the surface, particularly between Mary-Kate and Ashley. As the sun rose on a new day, the promise of adventure awaited them just beyond the threshold. All right, beach bums. Who's ready to make some memories? Bradley called, his voice booming with enthusiasm as he bounded down the stairs, his sun-kissed skin glistening in the morning light. He was the first to reach the door, his energy infectious. Memories are disasters, Mary-Kate quipped, rolling her eyes but unable to suppress a smile. She adjusted her oversized sunglasses, the kind that screamed, "I'm here to have fun," while hiding the flicker of anxiety in her eyes. Both. Paige chimed in, her mischievous grin widening. "I've got a few tricks up my sleeve for today. Just don't pull any pranks on me this time, Paige," Ashley warned, her tone half serious, half joking. She was still recovering from the kale cake incident, and the last thing she needed was another surprise. "Relax, Ash. It's all in good fun." Paige winked, her playful demeanor a stark contrast to the tension that had been brewing between her and Ashley since their arrival. Liv, who had been quietly observing, finally spoke up. "Let's just enjoy the beach. I brought some games we can play." She held up a colorful beach ball, her excitement palpable. "Beach games. Count me in," Caitlin exclaimed, her perfectionist tendencies momentarily forgotten in the face of adventure. "But let's make sure we keep it organized. I don't want any chaos like in the kitchen. Chaos is the best part." Bradley laughed, leading the charge out the door. The others followed, their laughter mingling with the sound of crashing waves as they made their way to the beach. The sun hung high in the sky, casting a warm glow over the sandy shore. The beach was alive with the sounds of seagulls squawking overhead and children squealing in delight as they splashed in the surf. The scent of saltwater mingled with the faint aroma of sunscreen, creating a heady mix that felt like freedom. "First up, sandcastle competition," Bradley declared, dropping his beach bag onto the sand. "Let's see who can build the most epic castle." "Epic. Or ridiculous?" Mary-Kate shot back, her competitive spirit igniting. "Challenge accepted." Paige grinned, already gathering her supplies. The group split into teams, with Bradley and Caitlin teaming up against Mary-Kate and Ashley, while Liv and Paige formed an unlikely duo. As they began to sculpt their sandy masterpieces, the air filled with playful banter and the sound of shovels scraping against the ground. "Mine's going to have a moat," Caitlin announced, her brow furrowed in concentration as she meticulously shaped the sand. "Moats are overrated," Mary-Kate countered, her hands working quickly to create a towering spire. It's all about height and grandeur. Or about not getting your castle washed away by the tide, Liv chimed in, her voice light but with an undercurrent of seriousness. Don't worry, Liv. I've got a secret weapon, Paige said, her eyes glinting with mischief. She had been quietly filling Ashley's bucket with seaweed while the others were distracted, and now she was ready to unleash her prank. Hey, Ash! Can you grab me some water? Paige called, feigning innocence. Sure. Ashley replied, oblivious to the impending prank. She walked over to the bucket, her back turned to Paige, who was barely able to contain her laughter. As Ashley dipped the bucket into the ocean, Paige couldn't hold back any longer. Surprise! She shouted, pointing at the bucket as Ashley turned around, her expression shifting from confusion to horror as she realized what had happened. What the? Ashley exclaimed, her voice rising in disbelief as she pulled the bucket closer, revealing the slimy seaweed. Gotcha! Paige laughed, doubling over in delight. Paige! That's disgusting! Ashley groaned, but even she couldn't help but crack a smile. Just a little beach fun. Paige said, her laughter infectious. Okay, truce. Ashley said, shaking her head but unable to suppress her own laughter. But you're going to pay for this later. Bring it on, Paige shot back, her eyes sparkling with mischief. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, the competition intensified. Sandcastles rose and fell, each team trying to outdo the other. The laughter echoed across the beach, a symphony of joy that drowned out any lingering tensions. All right, time's up, Bradley called, clapping his hands to gather everyone's attention. Let's see what we've created. The friends gathered around the various sandcastles, each one a testament to their creativity and teamwork. Caitlin's castle stood tall with its intricate towers, while Mary Kate's was a chaotic masterpiece of height and flair. Liv and Paige's castle was a whimsical, albeit slightly lopsided, creation that made everyone chuckle. Okay, I think we have a clear winner, Bradley said, gesturing to Caitlin's castle. But really, you all did amazing. Let's take a picture. Liv suggested, pulling out her phone. As they posed together, arms slung around each other's shoulders, the camera clicked, capturing a moment of pure joy. But as the flash faded, Mary Kate felt a pang of unease. She glanced at Ashley, who was still wiping sand off her arms, and for a brief moment, their eyes met. There was a flicker of something unspoken, a reminder of the rivalry that simmered just beneath the surface. Let's go for a swim, Caitlin suggested, breaking the tension. Last one in is a rotten egg, Bradley shouted, sprinting toward the water. With a collective cheer, the group dashed toward the waves, the cool water crashing against their bodies as they splashed and laughed. The ocean was a welcome relief from the heat, and for a while, the worries of the past faded away, replaced by the thrill of the moment. As the sun began to dip toward the horizon, casting a golden hue over the beach, the friends gathered around a bonfire, the crackling flames providing warmth against the cooling air. They settled into the sand, their faces illuminated by the flickering light, and the atmosphere shifted from playful to reflective. Chapter 4. The Mystery of the Missing Necklace. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden hue over the beach house as the laughter from the bonfire echoed into the night. The five friends, Bradley, Mary Kate, Liv, Ashley, Paige, and Caitlin, had spent the day rekindling their childhood camaraderie, but beneath the surface, old rivalries simmered. As they shared stories and roasted marshmallows, the air was thick with nostalgia and unspoken tensions. Just as Caitlin had begun to feel the warmth of their reunion, a chilling realization struck her like a cold wave crashing against the shore. Wait, where's my grandmother's necklace? Caitlin's voice cut through the laughter, her heart racing as she patted her neck, only to find it bare. The heirloom, a delicate piece adorned with intricate filigree and a single shimmering pearl, had been passed down through generations. It was more than just jewelry. It was a symbol of her family's legacy, and the thought of losing it sent a wave of panic through her. "What do you mean it is missing?" Ashley asked, her brow furrowing as she leaned closer, the flickering firelight casting shadows across her face. The playful atmosphere shifted, tension creeping in like the tide. "I had it earlier when we were at the beach. I remember showing it to you all," Caitlin said, her voice rising in pitch. "I must have left it in the house." "Okay, let's not panic," Liv said, her calm demeanor a stark contrast to Caitlin's growing distress. "We'll just retrace our steps. It's probably somewhere in the house. Or someone took it," Mary-Kate interjected, her competitive spirit flaring. "I mean, it is a valuable piece. Who wouldn't want it?" "Seriously, Mary-Kate?" Bradley shot back, his tone incredulous. "You think one of us would steal from Caitlin?" "Maybe not steal, but borrow without asking." Mary-Kate shrugged, crossing her arms defensively. "You never know what people are capable of." Caitlin felt a knot tighten in her stomach. The playful banter had morphed into accusations, and the warmth of their reunion felt like it was slipping away. "Can we just focus on finding it?" she pleaded, her voice trembling slightly. "It's really important to me." All right, Paige said, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Let's turn this into a game. A mini investigation. We can interrogate each other like we're in a crime drama." "Fine, but no one is allowed to leave the house until we find it," Caitlin declared, her resolve hardening. The group nodded, some with enthusiasm, others with reluctance, but they all understood the gravity of the situation. As they filed back into the house, the atmosphere was charged with a mix of excitement and anxiety. The living room, filled with the scent of burnt marshmallows and the salty tang of the sea, felt like a stage set for a mystery. Caitlin took a deep breath, trying to steady her racing heart. She couldn't shake the feeling that this was more than just a missing necklace. It was a test of their friendship. "Okay, who wants to go first?" Paige asked, her eyes glinting with mischief. "Let's see who can come up with the most ridiculous alibi." "I'll go," Ashley volunteered, stepping forward with a mock-serious expression. "I was in the kitchen, baking a soufflé. I couldn't possibly have taken the necklace. I was too busy trying to not burn the house down." "Classic Ashley," Liv chuckled, shaking her head. "Always the dramatic one." "Hey, it was a valid excuse," Ashley protested, her cheeks flushing. "Besides, I wouldn't want to ruin Caitlin's family heirloom with my culinary disasters." "All right, next," Paige said, clapping her hands together. "How about you, Mary-Kate?" Mary-Kate smirked, her competitive nature shining through. "I was outside, practicing my sandcastle building skills. I wouldn't have time to steal a necklace when I'm busy being the best." "Or maybe you were too busy plotting how to outshine Caitlin," Bradley teased, earning a playful glare from Mary-Kate. "Very funny, Bradley," she shot back, rolling her eyes. "But I wouldn't stoop that low." Caitlin watched the banter unfold, a mix of amusement and frustration swirling within her. She knew her friends well enough to recognize that their playful jabs often masked deeper insecurities. As the interrogation continued, she felt a flicker of hope that perhaps this investigation could bring them closer together, even amidst the chaos. "Liv, you're up," Paige called, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. Liv stepped forward, her expression earnest. "I was in the garden, tending to the herbs. I wouldn't even know how to wear a necklace like that. It's not my style." "True," Caitlin admitted, a small smile breaking through her worry. "You'd probably just wear kale around your neck." "Exactly." Liv laughed, her tension easing. Besides, I'm more concerned about finding your necklace than stealing it. Okay, my turn, Bradley said, stepping into the spotlight. Well, I was in the bathroom. You know, doing guy stuff. Doing guy stuff. Mary-Kate raised an eyebrow, clearly unconvinced. What does that even mean? Let's just say it was a long day at the beach, he replied, shrugging with a grin. But I promise, I didn't take your necklace. All right, Caitlin, you're the last one, Paige said, her voice teasing. What's your alibi? Caitlin hesitated, her heart pounding. I was with all of you. I showed you the necklace before we left for the beach. She felt the weight of their gazes on her, the pressure mounting. I can't believe it is gone. Maybe it fell out somewhere, Ashley suggested, her tone softening. We can check the beach again. Or maybe it is hiding in plain sight, Mary-Kate added, her competitive edge still evident. You know, like a game of hide and seek. Let's check the house first, Caitlin said, her voice firm. We can't leave any stone unturned. As they began to search the house, the atmosphere shifted from playful to tense. Each room held echoes of their laughter, but now it felt like a labyrinth of suspicion. Caitlin led the way, her heart racing as she opened drawers and peered under cushions. The vintage record player caught her eye, its polished wood gleaming in the dim light. Hey, what about this? She said, gesturing to the record player. Maybe it fell inside. Good idea, Paige exclaimed, rushing over. Let's check it out. As they gathered around the record player, Caitlin felt a flicker of hope. Chapter 5. The Talent Showdown. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting a golden hue over the quaint coastal town. The beach house, with its weathered shingles and vibrant blue shutters, stood as a testament to the years of laughter and memories shared within its walls. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of salt and nostalgia, mingling with the remnants of their earlier bake-off chaos. As the friends gathered in the cozy living room, the atmosphere buzzed with excitement and a hint of tension, remnants of the rivalries that had surfaced during their reunion. Okay, everyone. It's time for the talent show, Caitlin announced, her voice cutting through the chatter. She stood in the center of the room, hands on her hips, her usual perfectionist demeanor shining through. We've all got hidden talents, and tonight, we're going to showcase them. No judgment, just fun. Fun. You mean, like, let's see who can embarrass themselves the most. Paige quipped, a mischievous glint in her eye. She plopped down onto the oversized couch, her legs tucked beneath her, ready for the spectacle. Hey, I'm not here to embarrass myself, Liv chimed in, her tone defensive but playful. I'm here to impress you all with my skills. Skills? You mean your kale cake? Ashley teased, her voice dripping with sarcasm. The tension between her and Liv had been palpable since the bake-off, but tonight, they were determined to keep the mood light. All right, enough banter. Who's going first? Mary-Kate interjected, her eyes sparkling with mischief. She had been waiting for this moment, eager to step into the spotlight and reclaim her status as the life of the party. I'll go, Liv volunteered, her enthusiasm infectious. She stood up, brushing her hair back with a confident flick of her wrist. Prepare to be amazed by my beatboxing skills. The friends exchanged skeptical glances, but Liv's determination was hard to resist. She took a deep breath, closed her eyes for a moment, and then launched into a series of rhythmic beats that echoed through the room. The sound was unexpected, sharp, intricate, and surprisingly captivating. Whoa, Liv! I didn't know you could do that! Caitlin exclaimed, her eyes wide with admiration. Liv's confidence grew with each beat, her body swaying to the rhythm. The room filled with the sound of her voice layered over the beats, creating a unique melody that had everyone tapping their feet. Okay, I'm impressed, Ashley admitted, a hint of jealousy creeping into her tone. But can you do it while juggling? Challenge accepted. Liv laughed, her competitive spirit ignited. As the laughter subsided, Mary-Kate stood up, her heart racing with anticipation. All right, my turn. She took a deep breath, adjusting her posture as if preparing for a performance on a grand stage. I'm going to do some stand-up comedy. Just remember, it is all in good fun. The room quieted, and Mary-Kate launched into her routine, weaving tales of their childhood antics, poking fun at their quirks, and delivering punchlines that had everyone in stitches. And then there was that time Caitlin tried to bake a soufflé and it exploded all over the kitchen. I swear, it looked like a scene from a horror movie. Caitlin groaned, but she couldn't help but laugh along with the others. Okay, that was pretty funny. As the laughter echoed around the room, Mary-Kate felt a rush of warmth. This was what she had missed. The camaraderie, the shared memories, the feeling of belonging. But beneath the laughter, a flicker of doubt lingered. Would they still see her as the funny one, or had the years changed their perceptions? All right, who's next? Caitlin asked, her eyes scanning the room. I'll go, Ashley said, her voice quieter than usual. She had been unusually reserved throughout the evening, and her friends exchanged glances, sensing the shift in energy. Are you sure? Paige asked, her tone laced with concern. You don't have to if you don't want to. No, I want to, Ashley insisted, her determination evident. She stood up, her hands trembling slightly as she adjusted her glasses. I've been working on a magic act. Just bear with me. The room fell silent as Ashley gathered her props. A deck of cards and a small silk scarf. She took a deep breath, her eyes darting around the room, searching for encouragement. Okay, so for my first trick, I need a volunteer. Me. Paige jumped up, her excitement palpable. I'm ready to be amazed. Ashley smiled, a flicker of relief washing over her. All right, Paige, pick a card. Any card. As Paige selected a card and returned it to the deck, Ashley's hands moved with a newfound confidence. She shuffled the cards, her fingers dancing over them as she spoke. Now, I'm going to make your card disappear. The friends leaned in, their eyes glued to Ashley as she performed the trick with surprising finesse. With a flourish, she revealed the card, and the room erupted in applause. Wow, Ashley! That was incredible! Liv exclaimed, her eyes wide with admiration. Ashley's cheeks flushed with pride, and for a moment, the tension that had lingered in the air dissipated. Thanks. I've been practicing, she admitted, her voice softening. Practicing. You should have told us. We could have had a magic show instead of a talent show. Mary-Kate joked, but her smile was genuine. As the night wore on, the friends took turns showcasing their talents, each performance revealing a little more about themselves. Caitlin's impeccable baking skills resurfaced as she demonstrated her ability to create intricate cake designs, while Paige's knack for impersonations had everyone in stitches. But as the laughter filled the room, an undercurrent of tension remained, particularly between Mary-Kate and Ashley. The rivalry that had simmered beneath the surface during their childhood seemed to resurface, each performance a subtle challenge to the other. Okay, last round. Let's make it a group performance. Caitlin suggested, her eyes sparkling with excitement. How about a dance-off? Dance-off. You know I'm in, Paige exclaimed, her energy infectious. I'm not sure I'm ready for that, Ashley said, her voice hesitant. Come on, Ashley. It'll be fun. Liv encouraged, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. As they began to dance, the room filled with laughter and cheers, but Mary-Kate's competitive spirit flared. She couldn't help but steal glances at Ashley, who was surprisingly graceful, her movements fluid and confident. "All right, let's see who can do the best move," Mary-Kate challenged, her eyes narrowing playfully. The dance-off escalated into a flurry of laughter and friendly competition, but as the night wore on. Chapter 6. The Love Connection. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm golden hue over the beach house as the five friends gathered in the living room, still buzzing from the excitement of the previous night's talent show. Laughter echoed off the walls, mingling with the salty breeze that wafted through the open windows. Mary-Kate's stand-up routine had been a hit, and Ashley's magic act had left them all spellbound. Yet, beneath the surface of their camaraderie, old rivalries simmered, particularly between Mary-Kate and Ashley, whose competitive spirits had flared up once again. As the group settled into the day, the promise of adventure lingered in the air. Caitlin, ever the planner, suggested they explore the local beach, where rumors of a group of surfers had piqued their curiosity. "I heard they're supposed to be really good," she said, adjusting her oversized sun hat. "And who knows? Maybe we'll get some eye candy." "Eye candy? You mean, like, actual candy?" Liv quipped, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Because I'm all for that." "Focus, Liv," Paige chimed in, her playful tone masking a hint of excitement. "We're talking about hot surfers, not candy. But I wouldn't mind a little sugar rush either." With a collective cheer, they grabbed their beach gear and headed out, the sound of laughter trailing behind them like a kite on the wind. The beach was alive with the sounds of crashing waves and distant shouts, the air thick with the scent of sunscreen and salt. As they approached the shoreline, the sight of surfers riding the waves sent a thrill through Paige's heart. She had always been drawn to the ocean, but today, it felt different. Charged with possibility. "Look at them!" Caitlin exclaimed, pointing toward a group of surfers effortlessly gliding over the waves. "They're incredible. Let's get closer," Ashley urged, her competitive spirit ignited. "I want to see if I can catch one of their attention." As they made their way down the beach, the group of surfers noticed the friends and began to paddle toward the shore. Among them was a tall, sun-kissed guy with tousled hair and an easy smile that made Paige's heart skip a beat. He was effortlessly charming, and as he approached, she felt a flutter of nerves mixed with excitement. "Hey there," he called out, his voice warm and inviting. "You girls here for some fun in the sun?" "Something like that," Paige replied, trying to sound casual as she brushed a strand of hair behind her ear. "We're just exploring." "I'm Jake," he said, extending a hand. "And you are?" "Paige," she said, shaking his hand, feeling a spark of electricity at the contact. "These are my friends. Caitlin, Ashley, Liv, and Mary-Kate." "Nice to meet you all," Jake said, his gaze lingering on Paige a moment longer than necessary. "You should join us for a surf lesson. It's a blast, and we could use some more people out there." "Surfing? I've never tried it," Paige admitted, her heart racing at the thought of being so close to him on the water. "Neither have I," Liv chimed in, her eyes wide with excitement. "But I'm totally down for it." "Count me in," Ashley said, her competitive nature kicking in. "I'll show you all how it is done." Mary-Kate, who had been quiet, suddenly spoke up. "I think I'll pass. I'm not really into getting tossed around by waves." "Come on, Mary-Kate. Live a little," Caitlin urged, nudging her friend. "It'll be fun." With a reluctant sigh, Mary-Kate finally relented. "Fine, but if I get water up my nose, I'm blaming all of you." As they gathered their courage and rented surfboards, the playful banter continued, with Jake leading the way. "Okay, first rule of surfing. Don't take yourself too seriously. Just have fun with it." Paige felt her nerves ease as she watched him demonstrate the basics. His movements were fluid, confident, and she couldn't help but admire the way he commanded the water. The other surfers cheered him on, and she felt a pang of envy mixed with admiration. She wanted to be that free, that fearless. After a few minutes of instruction, they waded into the water, the cool waves crashing against their legs. Paige felt exhilarated and terrified all at once. As she mounted her board for the first time, she glanced back at Jake, who was watching her with an encouraging smile. "You've got this, Paige," he called out, and her heart soared at the sound of his voice. With a deep breath, she paddled out, her heart racing as she caught her first wave. She stood up, wobbling precariously before tumbling into the water with a splash. Laughter erupted from her friends, and she couldn't help but join in, the thrill of the moment washing over her. "Nice try," Ashley shouted, her competitive spirit shining through as she expertly rode a wave past Paige. "But I think I'm winning this round." "Not for long," Liv yelled, determination etched on her face as she paddled out to catch her own wave. As the afternoon wore on, the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a warm glow over the beach. The sound of laughter and splashes filled the air, and for a moment, all the tensions and rivalries faded away. It was just them, the ocean, and the thrill of the surf. After a few more attempts, Paige finally managed to ride a wave all the way to the shore. She stumbled off her board, exhilarated and breathless, and was met with cheers from her friends. Jake paddled in beside her, a proud grin on his face. "You did it!" he exclaimed, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "That was awesome. Thanks. I can't believe I actually stood up," Paige replied, her cheeks flushed with joy. "Want to try again?" he asked, tilting his head toward the waves. "I can help you get the hang of it." "Definitely," she said, her heart racing at the thought of spending more time with him. As they headed back into the water, the playful matchmaking began. Caitlin and Liv exchanged knowing glances, whispering and giggling as they watched Paige and Jake interact. "I think she's got a crush," Caitlin teased, nudging Liv. "More like a full-blown infatuation," Liv replied, her eyes twinkling with mischief. "Look at the way she's blushing." Meanwhile, Mary-Kate stood a little apart from the group, her arms crossed as she watched the scene unfold. She felt a twinge of jealousy as she noticed how easily Jake and Paige connected. It reminded her of a time long ago, when she had a crush on Jake's older brother, a surfer who had stolen her heart and then vanished from her life. Chapter 7. The Spa Day Disaster. The sun had barely risen over the quaint coastal town, casting a golden hue across the beach house where 5 childhood friends had gathered for a weekend of nostalgia and laughter. After a chaotic bake-off that had turned the kitchen into a flour-dusted battleground, and a talent show that revealed hidden talents and unexpected magic tricks, the group had decided to indulge in a day of pampering. They were ready to unwind, but little did they know that their DIY spa day would spiral into a series of hilarious mishaps. As the friends gathered in the living room, the air was thick with anticipation and the scent of coconut oil wafted through the open windows. Mary-Kate, ever the planner, had taken charge of the spa day, her excitement palpable as she laid out an array of ingredients on the coffee table. "All right, ladies. Who's ready to get their glow on?" she exclaimed, her voice bubbling with enthusiasm. "Glow. More like, glow up," Paige quipped, her mischievous grin hinting at the pranks she had up her sleeve. "I hope you've got something for my dark circles, Mary-Kate. I need to look fresh for Jake later." "Just don't scare him away with your face mask," Ashley teased, rolling her eyes. "I mean, what's the point of a spa day if you're just going to scare off potential suitors?" "Shut up, Ashley," Liv chimed in, her tone light but her eyes narrowed playfully. You're just jealous because I'm the only one who can pull off a kale-infused face mask. Yeah, right, Caitlin scoffed, adjusting her glasses as she scrutinized the ingredients. I'm pretty sure kale is meant for eating, not slathering on your face. Trust me, it is all the rage, Liv insisted, her voice rising with conviction. Besides, I brought some avocado and honey for a hydrating mask. We're going to look fabulous. As they gathered around the coffee table, the friends began mixing their concoctions, laughter bubbling up as they shared stories and playful banter. Mary-Kate had prepared a cucumber and yogurt mask, while Caitlin was meticulously measuring out ingredients for a classic oatmeal scrub. The atmosphere was light, filled with the sounds of giggles and the occasional splash of water. Okay, who wants to go first? Mary-Kate asked, holding up her greenish concoction with a flourish. I'll go, Paige volunteered, her eyes sparkling with mischief. Let's see what this cucumber mask can do for my complexion. As Mary-Kate applied the mask to Paige's face, the room erupted in laughter. You look like a salad, Ashley teased, snapping a quick photo on her phone. Just wait until I'm done, Paige shot back, her voice muffled by the mask. I'll be the most radiant salad you've ever seen. The laughter continued as the friends took turns applying their masks, each one more ridiculous than the last. Liv's kale mask turned her face a vibrant green, while Caitlin's oatmeal scrub left her looking like she had just rolled in the flour. The chaos reached a peak when Ashley, in a fit of laughter, accidentally knocked over a bowl of honey, sending it splattering across the table. Oops! She exclaimed, her eyes wide with faux innocence. Looks like we're going to need a cleanup crew. More like a rescue team, Mary-Kate replied, trying to wipe the sticky substance off her hands. This is turning into a disaster. Just then, Paige, still wearing her cucumber mask, grabbed a bottle of what she thought was essential oil and poured it into her mixture. This is going to be amazing, she declared, her voice dripping with confidence. Wait, what's that? Caitlin asked, peering over her shoulder. That's not essential oil. That's the all-purpose cleaner. The room fell silent as the realization hit. What? Paige exclaimed, her eyes widening in horror. No way. I thought it smelled a little lemony. Lemony. You mean chemically? Ashley laughed, her voice rising in pitch. We're going to smell like a cleaning supply aisle. Great. Just great, Liv said, shaking her head. We're going to be the most radiant group of friends who smell like a public restroom. As the laughter subsided, the friends looked at each other, a mix of amusement and disbelief on their faces. Well, we can't waste it now, Mary-Kate said, her competitive spirit kicking in. Let's just go all in. With that, the chaos resumed. They began mixing the cleaner into their masks, convinced that it would somehow enhance their beauty. The room was filled with the sounds of giggles and playful shouts as they smeared the concoctions on each other's faces, the green goo exploding from the bowls and splattering onto the walls. Look at me, I'm a cleaning goddess, Paige shouted, striking a pose with her arms outstretched, her face a mix of green and yellow. More like a cleaning disaster, Caitlin shot back, her laughter echoing off the walls. We're going to need a hazmat team to clean this up. As the friends continued their antics, the atmosphere shifted. The laughter began to fade, replaced by a sense of unease. Mary-Kate, who had been the ringleader of the chaos, suddenly paused, her expression turning serious. Guys, what if we actually get sick from this stuff? Relax, it is just a little cleaner, Ashley said, waving her hand dismissively. We're not going to die. But what if we do? Liv chimed in, her voice laced with concern. I mean, we're literally putting chemicals on our faces. Okay, let's just wash it off, Mary-Kate suggested, her tone shifting from playful to cautious. We don't want to end up in the hospital. As they rushed to the bathroom to rinse off the masks, the mood shifted once again. The laughter faded into nervous chatter as they scrubbed their faces, the realization of their reckless decision settling in. I can't believe we did that, Caitlin said, her voice barely above a whisper. What were we thinking? I don't know, Paige admitted, her eyes wide with regret. I just wanted to have fun. Fun. We're going to smell like a lemon-scented nightmare. Ashley exclaimed, her frustration bubbling to the surface. This was supposed to be a relaxing day. Let's just take a deep breath, Liv suggested, trying to lighten the mood. We'll wash this off, and then we can still have a spa day. We just need to be more careful next time. As they finished rinsing off, the friends stood in front of the mirror, their faces still tinged with remnants of green and yellow. Well, at least we're all in this together, Mary-Kate said, forcing a smile. We're a team, right? Right, they echoed, though the tension. Chapter 8. Chapter 8. The Road Trip Adventure. The sun had barely risen over the quaint coastal town, casting a warm golden hue over the beach house where 5 childhood friends had gathered for a weekend of nostalgia and laughter. In the previous chapter, Caitlin's frantic search for her grandmother's heirloom necklace had turned into a comical investigation, with each friend playing the role of suspect. The necklace's unexpected hiding place, inside the vintage record player, had brought a wave of relief and laughter, but it also stirred up a sense of urgency among the group. They were reminded that time was fleeting, and their reunion was a precious moment that needed to be celebrated. As the morning light filtered through the lace curtains, the friends gathered in the kitchen, the scent of freshly brewed coffee mingling with the salty sea air. Mary-Kate, still buzzing from the previous night's talent show, was the first to break the silence. What if we did something crazy today? She suggested, her eyes sparkling with mischief. Like what? Ashley asked, her brow furrowing as she poured herself a cup of coffee. A road trip, Mary-Kate exclaimed, her enthusiasm infectious. There's an amusement park about an hour away. We could make a day of it. Count me in, Paige chimed, her face lighting up at the thought of roller coasters and cotton candy. I need some adrenaline after all that baking. Caitlin, ever the planner, hesitated. But we don't have a lot of time. We should probably stick to something more low-key. Come on, Caitlin, Liv interjected, her voice filled with excitement. We're here to make memories, not just sit around. Plus, it'll be fun. We can cram into my car and blast music the whole way there. Okay, Caitlin relented, a smile creeping onto her face. But if we're doing this, we need snacks. Lots of snacks. As they scrambled to gather their belongings, the kitchen erupted into a flurry of activity. Liv dashed to the pantry, pulling out bags of chips and candy bars, while Paige rummaged through the fridge for leftover cupcakes. The air was filled with laughter and playful banter, a stark contrast to the tension that had lingered just days before. Within half an hour, they were packed into Liv's compact car, the backseat overflowing with snacks and laughter. Mary-Kate took the front passenger seat, her phone already connected to the car's Bluetooth. Let's start with a classic, she declared, queuing up a playlist of nostalgic hits from their teenage years. As the first notes of a pop anthem filled the car, the friends erupted into song, their voices blending into a cacophony of joy. The wind whipped through the open windows, carrying their laughter into the bright blue sky. Liv, with her hands gripping the steering wheel, couldn't help but glance at her friends in the rearview mirror, her heart swelling with happiness. Next stop, adventure, she shouted over the music, her voice barely audible above the chorus. The drive was filled with spontaneous sing-alongs and snack attacks, each friend taking turns to share their favorite treats. Ashley, ever the prankster, had brought a bag of sour gummies, which she insisted on sharing with everyone. "You have to try these," she said, her eyes gleaming with mischief. "They're the sourest in the world." "Pass," Caitlin said, wrinkling her nose as she watched Ashley pop one into her mouth. "I'm not ruining my taste buds for a dare." "More for me then." Ashley grinned, tossing a gummy into her mouth with a flourish. As they drove along the winding coastal road, the scenery shifted from quaint beach houses to lush green hills dotted with wildflowers. They made an impromptu stop at a quirky roadside attraction. A giant statue of a crab, complete with oversized claws and a painted smile. "Perfect photo op," Paige declared, jumping out of the car before it had even come to a complete stop. The others followed suit, laughter bubbling up as they posed in front of the giant crustacean, each friend trying to outdo the others with silly faces and poses. "Crabby but cute," Mary-Kate quipped, snapping a picture of Caitlin pretending to wrestle the statue. "Okay, everyone, let's do a group shot," Liv suggested, setting her phone on a nearby rock and using the timer function. They huddled together, arms around each other, faces beaming with joy. As the camera clicked, a sense of unity washed over them, a reminder of the bond they shared. Back in the car, the mood shifted slightly as they resumed their journey. The music faded into the background, and a comfortable silence settled among them. Liv stole glances at her friends, her mind racing with thoughts of the past and the future. She had always been the glue that held them together, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something was shifting beneath the surface. "What's on your mind?" Mary-Kate asked, breaking the silence. "Just thinking about how much has changed since we were kids," Liv replied, her voice soft. "I mean, look at us. We're all grown up now, and yet here we are, acting like we're still in high school." "Some things never change," Caitlin said, a hint of nostalgia in her tone. "And I wouldn't want them to." "Yeah, but what about the future?" Liv pressed, her brow furrowing. "We're all going our separate ways soon. What happens when this weekend is over?" "Hey, let's not think about that right now," Ashley chimed in, her voice light. "We're on our way to an amusement park. Let's focus on the fun." "Right," Liv said, forcing a smile. "Fun first, reality later." As they approached the amusement park, the excitement in the car was palpable. The towering roller coasters loomed in the distance, their vibrant colors beckoning like a siren's call. The friends could already hear the distant sounds of laughter and screams, the air thick with the smell of popcorn and cotton candy. "First ride, the Ferris wheel," Paige exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. "I want to see the view from the top. Only if we can take selfies," Mary-Kate added, her competitive spirit igniting once more. They parked and rushed toward the entrance, the thrill of the day ahead overshadowing any lingering doubts. The park was bustling with families and groups of friends, all seeking their own adventures. As they navigated through the crowds, they found themselves drawn to the bright lights and sounds of the carnival games. "Let's play some games," Ashley suggested, her eyes gleaming with mischief. "I want to win a giant stuffed animal. Only if you can throw a ring around that bottle," Caitlin teased, pointing to a game booth where a row of bottles stood, each one promising a prize for the lucky winner. "Challenge accepted," Ashley declared, striding confidently toward the booth. The others followed, cheering her on as she exchanged her tickets for rings. Chapter 9. The Costume Party Catastrophe. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden hue over the quaint coastal town. The beach house, once filled with laughter and the chaos of baking disasters, now buzzed with a different kind of energy. The friends had decided to throw a costume party, a whimsical nod to their childhoods, where imagination reigned supreme. As they rummaged through old boxes of clothes and accessories, the air was thick with nostalgia and the scent of salty sea breeze. Mary-Kate stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the oversized glasses of her Velma costume. "I can't believe I'm actually doing this," she muttered, a mix of excitement and embarrassment swirling within her. Just last week, she had been a successful marketing executive, and now she was channeling her inner cartoon character. She glanced over her shoulder at Ashley, who was struggling to fit into a bright pink princess gown that seemed 2 sizes too small. "Do you think I can pull this off?" Ashley asked, her voice muffled by layers of tulle. She twirled, and the fabric flared out dramatically, but the look on her face was anything but confident. "Absolutely. You look like a princess who just stepped out of a fairy tale," Mary-Kate replied, trying to mask her own doubts. In truth, the gown was a bit of a disaster, but the spirit of the evening was infectious. Meanwhile, Caitlin was in the kitchen, surrounded by a mountain of fabric scraps and a sewing machine that seemed to have a mind of its own. "I'm going as Hermione Granger," she declared, her brow furrowed in concentration. "But I need to finish this robe before anyone sees me. Just make sure it doesn't look like a Halloween costume from the clearance rack," Liv teased, her own costume. A makeshift Catwoman ensemble, clinging to her athletic frame. "We're going for nostalgia, not a thrift store horror show. Hey, I'll have you know that I'm a perfectionist," Caitlin shot back, her voice rising in mock indignation. "This is going to be the best costume you've ever seen." As the clock ticked closer to the party's start time, the friends gathered in the living room, each revealing their creations with a mix of pride and trepidation. Paige burst in, dressed as a pirate, complete with a faux parrot perched on her shoulder. Mateys! Who's ready to walk the plank?" she exclaimed, striking a pose that sent everyone into fits of laughter. "Not bad, Paige. But I think you forgot your eye patch," Ashley pointed out, her tone teasing. Details, Paige waved her hand dismissively. "I'm here for the fun, not the fashion police." As the doorbell rang, the group exchanged excited glances. "That must be the others," Liv exclaimed, her heart racing with anticipation. They had invited a few local friends, hoping to expand their circle of fun. When they opened the door, they were greeted by a sight that left them momentarily speechless. A local celebrity, known for his role in a popular teen drama, stood before them, dressed as a giant banana. "Is this the costume party?" he asked, his voice dripping with charm. Yeah," Mary-Kate stammered, her cheeks flushing. "Welcome. Awesome. I heard there'd be a lot of fun here," he said, stepping inside with an air of confidence. The friends exchanged incredulous looks, their excitement bubbling over. "Who knew we'd have a celebrity crash our party?" Caitlin whispered, her eyes wide with disbelief. As the night unfolded, the living room transformed into a vibrant tapestry of laughter and camaraderie. The music played softly in the background, a mix of nostalgic hits that had everyone singing along. The local celebrity, whose name was Ryan, quickly became the life of the party, effortlessly mingling with the group and sharing stories that made everyone laugh. "Did I ever tell you about the time I accidentally wore my costume to a grocery store?" Ryan recounted, his banana suit swaying as he animatedly gestured. "I thought it was a themed event, but it turned out to be just a regular Tuesday." The room erupted in laughter, and for a moment, the tensions that had been simmering beneath the surface faded away. Mary-Kate caught Ashley's eye, and they shared a knowing smile, the competitive edge between them momentarily dulled by the absurdity of the situation. As the night wore on, the friends engaged in a series of ridiculous games, from charades to a costume contest that had everyone in stitches. Liv, in her Catwoman outfit, attempted to climb onto the coffee table to demonstrate her cat-like agility, only to lose her balance and tumble into a pile of pillows. Graceful as ever, Liv. Caitlin teased, her laughter ringing out like music. Just testing the landing, Liv shot back, her face flushed with embarrassment but her spirit unbroken. The atmosphere was electric, filled with the kind of joy that only comes from shared memories and laughter. Yet, beneath the surface, a subtle tension lingered. Mary-Kate noticed Ashley's occasional glances toward Ryan, her expression a mix of admiration and something else. Something that felt like jealousy. "Hey, are you okay?" Mary-Kate asked, sidling up to Ashley as they watched Ryan entertain a group of partygoers with his exaggerated impressions. "Yeah, I don't know. He's charming, isn't he?" Ashley replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "Are you worried about him?" Mary-Kate pressed, sensing the undercurrent of emotion in her friend's tone. Ashley shrugged, her gaze fixed on Ryan. "I guess I just didn't expect him to be here. It's like he's stealing the spotlight." Mary-Kate opened her mouth to respond, but before she could find the right words, Ryan approached them, a playful grin on his face. "Hey, ladies. You two look amazing. Are you ready for the next round of games?" Ashley's demeanor shifted instantly, her competitive spirit igniting. "Absolutely. What do you have in mind?" As Ryan explained the next game. A ridiculous relay race involving silly string and inflatable cool toys. Mary-Kate felt a pang of unease. She watched as Ashley's eyes sparkled with excitement, and for a fleeting moment, she wondered if their friendship could withstand the weight of unspoken feelings and rivalries. The relay race commenced, and chaos erupted. The friends dashed around the living room, laughter echoing off the walls as they tangled themselves in silly string and inflatable flamingos. Ryan, ever the showman, led the charge, his banana suit flailing comically as he raced against the others. "Come on, princess. Show us what you've got," he called to Ashley, who was determined to prove herself. With a fierce determination, Ashley sprinted ahead, her gown trailing behind her like a cape. Mary-Kate cheered her on, but a knot of anxiety twisted in her stomach. Chapter 10. The Farewell and New Beginnings. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden glow over the beach house, the laughter and chaos of the weekend began to settle into a bittersweet nostalgia. The five friends, Bradley, Mary-Kate, Liv, Ashley, Paige, and Caitlin, had spent the past few days rekindling their childhood bonds, navigating the complexities of adult life, and confronting the unspoken tensions that had lingered beneath the surface. From the bake-off disasters to the spontaneous road trip, each moment had woven a tapestry of memories that would forever bind them together. But as the clock ticked closer to their departure, a sense of finality hung in the air, thick and palpable. "Can you believe it is already Sunday?" Caitlin sighed, her fingers tracing the rim of her glass as she sat on the porch, watching the waves crash against the shore. "It feels like we just got here." "I know," Liv replied, her voice tinged with melancholy. "I wish we could freeze time, just for a little while longer." Paige, ever the optimist, leaned back in her chair, a playful grin on her face. "Well, we could always plan another trip. Maybe a winter getaway. Hot cocoa by the fire, snowball fights. Or a summer reunion at the lake." Ashley chimed in, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "We could rent a cabin and go kayaking." "I'm in." Mary-Kate, who had been quiet, stared out at the horizon, her thoughts swirling like the waves. "I think we should make a pact," she said suddenly, her voice firm. "To stay connected. No matter where life takes us, we need to support each other." Bradley nodded, his expression serious. "I agree. Life gets busy, but we can't let that come between us." We've been through too much together. Caitlin smiled, her heart swelling with affection for her friends. Okay, let's do it. A pact. We'll set a date for our next reunion before we leave. As they all murmured their agreement, a sense of warmth enveloped them, a shared understanding that their friendship was worth nurturing, even amidst the chaos of their individual lives. But as the conversation flowed, a sudden thought struck Caitlin. Wait, she said, her eyes widening. What about the time capsule? The others looked at her, puzzled. What time capsule? Ashley asked, tilting her head. Remember when we were kids? We buried a time capsule in the backyard of my old house, Caitlin explained, her excitement bubbling over. We put in our dreams, our favorite things. It was supposed to be opened when we turned 21. Are you serious? Paige exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. We have to find it. Let's go. Liv jumped up, her energy infectious. We can dig it up before we leave. The group sprang into action, their earlier melancholy forgotten as they raced to the backyard, laughter echoing through the air. The sun was setting, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, and the salty breeze carried the scent of the ocean, invigorating their spirits. As they reached the spot where they had buried the capsule, memories flooded back. Of summer days spent playing in the sun, of whispered secrets and dreams shared under the stars. They began to dig, the sound of shovels hitting the earth mingling with their excited chatter. Do you think we'll find anything good? Ashley asked, her brow furrowed in concentration. Probably a bunch of old toys and cringy notes, Mary-Kate laughed, her competitive spirit ignited. I can't wait to see what we thought was cool back then. After several minutes of digging, Caitlin's shovel hit something solid. I think I found it, she exclaimed, her heart racing. The others gathered around as she carefully unearthed a small, rusted metal box, its edges worn but still intact. Here it is. Caitlin held it up triumphantly, and the group erupted into cheers. They brushed off the dirt, their fingers trembling with anticipation as they prepared to open it. Okay, who wants to do the honors? Bradley asked, his eyes gleaming with excitement. I will, Paige declared, her hands shaking slightly as she fumbled with the latch. With a soft click, the box creaked open, revealing a treasure trove of memories. Inside were crumpled papers, a few small toys, and a collection of handwritten notes. Let's read them, Liv suggested, her voice barely containing her enthusiasm. One by one, they pulled out the notes, each filled with the innocent dreams of their younger selves. Caitlin read hers aloud first, her cheeks flushing with embarrassment. I want to be a veterinarian and have a million pets. She giggled, shaking her head at her younger self's aspirations. I wanted to be a rock star, Ashley said, rolling her eyes as she read her note. I guess I'm still working on that one. The group laughed, the sound echoing against the backdrop of the ocean. Mary-Kate's note was next. I wanted to be a famous comedian and make everyone laugh, she said, her voice softening. I guess some things never change. Bradley's note revealed his childhood ambition to be an astronaut. I still think space is cool, he said, a hint of nostalgia in his voice. But I think I'll stick to Earth for now. Finally, Liv pulled out her note, her expression turning serious. I wanted to change the world, she read, her voice steady. I wanted to make a difference. The weight of her words hung in the air, a reminder of the dreams they had all shared. As they continued to sift through the contents of the time capsule, the atmosphere shifted. The laughter faded, replaced by a reflective silence. Each friend was lost in their thoughts, contemplating how far they had come and how much had changed since those carefree days. Do you think we've lived up to our dreams? Caitlin asked, breaking the silence. Her voice was soft, almost hesitant. I think we're still figuring it out, Bradley replied, his gaze fixed on the horizon. Life doesn't always go as planned, but that doesn't mean we can't still chase those dreams. Mary-Kate nodded, her expression thoughtful. And we have each other to lean on. That's what matters. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the yard, the friends made a pact to not only support each other in their individual journeys but to also revisit their dreams. They would check in, hold each other accountable, and remind one another of the aspirations they had once held dear. Let's make a new time capsule, Paige suggested, her eyes sparkling with excitement. We can fill it with our current dreams and open it in 10 years. Great idea. Liv agreed, her enthusiasm returning. We can write letters to our future selves. As they began to brainstorm what to include in their new time capsule, the mood lightened once again.